Okay, I'm going to do a couple of little tutorials here to show you some tools that might be useful as you think about the Flume project. So here we're going to create a part, and this one is about lofts. And so a loft is, if we go up here, it'll tell us it's a transitional shape between two or more sketches. So if you make a sketch, or make a couple of sketches with shapes on them, it'll actually use a mathematical algorithm to create a shape that links those two shapes. So it's pretty cool and uh, uh, pretty complex little tool, but it can be really useful. So let's start. We're just going to make some simple drawings here. So I'm going to start with a circle. And then I'm going to dimension it, and let's make it 20, and I'm going to put it right in the center here. And so I'm fully constrained there. And then to do a loft, you actually need multiple work planes, at least two. So let's offset from that same plane. I don't remember which one it was. Offset from this plane. Let's offset it by whatever, 100. And then I'm going to make a sketch on this, and let's make this one a rectangle so that we can see the way that that loft works. So I'll use the rectangle tool to get a nice square rectangle, and I'm going to make it symmetric around my two axes. So use my symmetry tool around my axes, add some dimensions. Let's make this bigger than our circles. So we'll go 40 and let's go 30. You can make whatever numbers you want. We're fully constrained there. Now let's show you how to use a work plane that's a little more complex than what we've done so far. So we're going to make one that's angled. We want to sort of have a work plane out here. So this whole object is going to curve a little bit. So I have to do this in two steps. The first step, I have to make a plane that's at an angle around a known edge. Okay, so I'm going to choose this guy here, and it's going to ask me to choose a line, and I want to make a plane that's at an angle to this plane here. So I'm going to make it around this edge and around that plane. And I'm going to make it let's make it 30 degrees. Okay, so now you can see how it's around the edge of our rectangle here, and it's kind of curved like this. And we'll choose that. And I don't actually want to use this plane. I just wanted to use that plane to establish that angle. And so I'm going to make another plane that's just offset to that one. So choose that, and let's make it 50 millimeters away. So now I've got three planes here. I don't really care about this one, so I'm going to make it invisible. But then now I am going to make another circle on this plane. So I'm going to start a sketch on this new plane. And before I do it, you'll notice if I try, I'll draw a little circle on here. I'm going to make a circle, and I can dimension it in that sense. But if I try to dimension it to something else, I've got nothing to grab onto. And so what I have to do is I have to project geometry from other planes. So you see the geometry over here. I want to project that onto my plane here. And so watch what happens. I'm going to go up here to project geometry. So that's blue now. I want to take that axis that I used over there and put it onto my plane. That gives me something now that I can measure the position of my circle with. So now I can go to dimension, and I can say, I want it to be 10 away from that. And I want it to be, let's say, 10 away from that. Right. So now let's, I'm fully constrained. I'm going to make my work planes invisible just so we can look at our actual sketches here. You can see I've got 3 shapes in space, and these are fully constrained now. These are all in position, and now I can use my Loft tool. So the Loft tool is going to ask me to pick sections, and the simplest way to use it is to choose those sections, and you can see it sort of figures out where that's going to go. And there are some rules here about how that works. This is the simplest one to use. If I use these, I need to add some rails. And if you want to try that, go ahead and look it up, but I'm not going to show you how to do that. It's going to be a very similar sort of thing. And now I've got this shape. So I've created a really complex shape without too much trouble. And if I wanted to, I can go in and I can change this shape as much as I want. So if I edit this sketch and I make this, 80, and make that 60, and I finish it, it's going to update that shape. And now I've got a really ballooned out shape. So that's Loft. If you want to create an unusual tube-like shape. Now, how do you turn that into a tube? You can use your thicken tool. And so I'm going to use my thicken tool. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select my faces that I want to thicken. And I want to make this hollow, but have not just be a surface. I want it to have a 1 millimeter thick surface. So I'm going to go, this is telling it to do the inside of that surface. So it's going to thicken it on the inside. And then I'm going to tell it to intersect. So it's going to look for the intersections of that thickened edge that I'm adding with the entire object, which means it's only going to save those outside parts. And I click OK. And now I've got a little tube. Let me get rid of this visibility of that guy. What is that guy? That work plane? There we go. And you can see I've got this cool little tube that's created by 2 rectangles and 2 circles. And so depending on what kind of shape I wanted to make, I can create that shape using Loft. So that's a cool little tool. Just wanted to show you all that.